This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. The government is ordering an emergency crackdown tonight on a new potential health threat.
That threat from human tissue transplants, which may be spreading AIDS or other diseases in some cases. Turns out some of the tissue and bone transplants used by the thousands in everyday surgery are not properly screened to ensure that they are infection-free. CBS News health correspondent Dr. Bob Arnott has our report.
400,000 Americans a year undergo surgery using transplanted human tissue, skin, bones, and ligaments obtained from donors who have died. The tissue is used in hundreds of procedures, ranging from open heart surgery and cancer treatment to hip replacements and facelifts. While it has revolutionized medical care, it has also created a frightening health hazard. Federal officials say 40 people unknowingly received human tissue tainted with HIV from this Virginia tissue bank. 7 of them contracted AIDS. 5 have died. Today, the FDA issued an emergency order to regulate the human tissue supply.
I want to announce that FDA is initiating regulations designed to minimize the risk of disease transmission from human tissue and bone transplants.
The FDA will require all of the nation's 600 human tissue banks to test for HIV, hepatitis, and other infectious diseases. It will also force tissue banks to provide complete medical histories of all tissue donors. This follows an FDA undercover sting operation, which found samples of skin and bone tissue were infected with a deadly hepatitis B virus.
Physicians must understand that they should not use tissue for transplantation unless they know that appropriate testing and screening of the donor has occurred.
Health officials say between 80 and 90% of tissue banks are safe, but some lawmakers say that's not enough.
But I don't think saying the system is relatively safe is good enough for a father or mother whose child may have received an HIV-infected heart valve during open heart surgery.
The FDA order goes into effect immediately, and a bill has just been introduced in Congress which requires tough new standards for tissue banks, designed to avert what experts fear could become an epidemic of transplant-related illnesses. Dr. Bob Arnott, CBS News, New York.
Word today of a milestone reached in the quest for a clean and abundant energy source. For decades, researchers have tried to tap into the power of the stars to create and control nuclear fusion. Now, scientists at Princeton University have taken an important step toward bringing fusion power to the people. Correspondent John Roberts reports how years of work paid off in a flash.
It was only a brief flash on a television screen, but it represented a quantum leap forward in energy technology. Scientists were applauding fusion, the energy that fuels the sun. Uncontrolled, it produces the effects of the hydrogen bomb. But confined in a reactor, it holds the promise of almost limitless electrical energy.
I think this is a historic milestone in fusion energy development, somewhat analogous to the Wright brothers' first flight.
And fusion is much safer than the current form of nuclear power, fission, in which a uranium atom is split by a neutron, producing energy but leaving radioactive plutonium as a byproduct. Fusion, on the other hand, bonds together 2 forms of hydrogen, releasing enormous amounts of heat, leaving harmless helium byproducts and no chance of a meltdown. Fusion fuel is abundant. It comes from the hydrogen in water and is so efficient, 2.5 pounds of fusion material could yield as much energy as 9,000 tons of coal. Last night, scientists used about a handful.
Approximately 3 million watts of fusion power was produced. That would be enough to power 3,000 homes.
Problem is, the reaction only lasted 4 seconds and consumed 8 times as much power as it produced. To make fusion commercially viable, it has to be sustainable. Researchers say that's still at least 20 years off, but they are making progress.
Well, last night we proved that there are no scientific problems that would prevent us from developing the fusion reactor.
Scientists at Princeton are hoping these experiments will attract the funding needed to build another reactor that will keep the fusion process going, setting the stage for the next generation of electrical power. John Roberts, CBS News, Princeton.
Up on the high frontier out in space today, more high-tech wizardry for the astronauts of the shuttle Endeavour. It was mission accomplished as they completed their $600 million fix of the contractor and NASA flawed Hubble telescope. They then sent the telescope on its way to see now if it works. Correspondent Scott Pelley has that story.
Endeavour, it sure is a pretty sight. We're going to go
Today, Endeavour released the Hubble telescope to its mission of discovery, finally setting right the mistakes of the past.
Houston, we have a good release.
5 spacewalks fixed Hubble's guidance and electrical systems, installed vision-correcting mirrors, and started repairs on NASA's reputation.
I think you gave an immense boost to the space program in general and to America's continuing venture in space.
Hubble was a huge misadventure, its big mirror flawed. It was made by the Perkin-Elmer Company, now part of the Hughes-Danbury Corporation. The mistake cost U.S. taxpayers $84 million for the corrective hardware alone.
Endeavour, 30 seconds to motion of the aperture door.
But today, Hubble opened its new eyes, realizing the dream of an observatory high above the distorting atmosphere. Lyman Spitzer thought of the idea in the 1940s to answer astronomy's big question.
And that question is, how big is the universe? How far away are the distant galaxies? This gives many uncertainties in our interpretation of the fate, the origin, the destiny of the universe that we live in.
Lyman, if you're listening today, give us 6 to 8 weeks and we may finally realize your dream.
It will take that long to adjust the telescope to see whether the new optical prescription really works. The Endeavour astronauts now prepare for a landing on Monday. Their successes during this mission suggest that NASA has the know-how to build both its proposed space station and a brighter future for itself. Scott Pelley, CBS News at the Johnson Space Center.
In Milwaukee today, an Air National Guard KC-135 tanker plane exploded in flames during routine servicing on the ground. The fire spread so quickly all 6 members of the plane's maintenance crew were killed. The cause of the fire is unknown. The tanker plane, which is used for mid-air refueling, was carrying just a fraction of its normal load of fuel at the time of the explosion.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, more economic storm clouds in the land of the rising sun.
And later, the home of the brave, trying to deal with growing fear.
Here's a whole other kind of chip.
Chip Shot.
Presto Chip Shot Potato Chipper. Slices so thin they gotta be crisp. Regular or ripple.
Chip Shot.
Fry 'em up. Even microwave for a light, no-fat chip. Flavor 'em the way you like.
Chip Shot.
From Presto.
Day after day, you make those glasses of thick Metamucil disappear. Why not make them all disappear with FiberCon? Doctor-recommended FiberCon gives you the same fiber regularity in tablets.
Easy-to-swallow tablets.
Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
It's the Sears Early Opening Sale. Tomorrow, Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. You decide what's on sale with Sears Bucks. Check Friday's paper for your Sears Bucks. Then get to Sears Early Opening Sale this Saturday and make your own sale. Save from $2 to $100 on all regular and sale-priced items. Every Craftsman tool, every Kenmore appliance, every Die-Hard battery. Every item in every department is on sale with Sears Bucks. Tomorrow, Saturday, from 8 to 10 a.m. Only at Sears, your home for the holidays.
No progress is reported tonight in the impasse over North Korea's suspected nuclear weapons program. But President Clinton says he still has hope. The president met with his military advisors while U.S. diplomats met again with North Korean officials. Mr. Clinton said he is aggressively pursuing a deal to let UN inspectors into North Korea's nuclear facilities.
The deadline for a global trade agreement is next Wednesday, and the deal is reportedly in danger of unraveling. Crisis talks are set for this weekend among the U.S., Europe, Canada, and Japan. The Japanese are getting cold feet about allowing more imports while their economy is mired in recession. CBS News correspondent James Satori reports on hard times for Japan Incorporated.
Takao Okazaki was one lonely guy this morning, not a single buyer at his Nissan car lot, located coincidentally right across the street from one of 5 Nissan plants shut down today. An unprecedented 15,000 company workers temporarily furloughed to save costs. I have a feeling the economy's going to get as bad as America's, he says. A lot of people are going to suffer.
And it's not only with the auto industry, but the whole industry is going through a great transformation right now.
Japan, the technological juggernaut, the country that made Sony a household name in America, is going through more than recessionary blues. Its massive troubles stem from traditional ways of doing business that simply don't work anymore. High-tech companies are seeing their profit margins robbed by downsized U.S. competitors. Workers here are pricing themselves out of the market. This year, Japan is importing more TVs than it makes.
These companies, which seem like Godzilla companies that were going to devour America, they're in danger of becoming dinosaurs.
But change is painful medicine for some, like rice farmers marching to preserve their long politically protected status. It even trickles down to the streets of Osaka, where thousands of day laborers who can't find work sleep in the train station.
It's going to be a long tunnel, but we have to find the light ahead of us.
To dig out, the Japanese may have to do the unthinkable, what many U.S. companies did just a few years ago. Replace tradition with a cutthroat instinct for survival. James Hattori, CBS News, Tokyo.
Stay with us for much more of the CBS Evening News, including the immigration problem, one American city trying to hold the line against its neighbors.
You've never had cereal like this before. It has the enticing aroma and the spice of ground cinnamon, the delicious, savory crunch of rolled oats baked to perfection, the sweetness of brown sugar, a touch of vanilla, and a sprinkling of nutmeg. There's never been cereal like this before. The new Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, now baked with an even more irresistible recipe. Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. It's the bran you'll eat for taste alone.
It kills the germs that cause bad breath. It fights plaque. It battles the gum infection, gingivitis. It's Listerine antiseptic. It's there to protect you.
So at Jenny's school play, I get this cough. Somebody handed me these Robitussin cough drops. They worked right away, and I could feel those vapors. Robitussin took the spotlight off me and put it where it belonged.
Robitussin cough drops from the cough experts.
I saw my doctor because the pain was so bad. I was afraid I needed surgery for my hemorrhoids. I was itching. The burning was awful. But my doctor said my hemorrhoids weren't serious. I didn't need surgery. He told me it was time I started using Preparation H.
Preparation H helps relieve the symptoms of inflamed hemorrhoidal tissues, often bringing relief from itching, burning, and painful irritation for hours.
What a difference Preparation H makes.
Doctor recommended Preparation H.
If Morley Safer looks like he's up to no good, he is. He's buying an alien ID card, a birth certificate, and a Social Security card. All fake, and all on 60 Minutes, Sunday.
A shopkeeper in Tampa, Florida, has accused teenage tennis star Jennifer Capriati of shoplifting. Capriati was stopped by security guards at a shopping mall after she walked off with a ring she'd been trying on. Her agent says it was an accident. Because Capriati is only 17, neither the police nor mall officials will comment on this case.
A woman who says Magic Johnson infected her with the AIDS virus has reached a private agreement with the former basketball star. A judge in Michigan said today he was dismissing the woman's $2 million lawsuit against Johnson at the request of both sides. A spokesman for the woman refused to say whether the agreement involved a financial settlement.
Inside Washington, one of those things the Clinton administration would prefer not to talk about. There seem to be more and more disagreements lately between President Clinton and his Attorney General, especially over crime and what to do about it. CBS News correspondent Linda Douglas looks tonight at the president's struggle to get crime and Janet Reno under control.
She's tall, tough, and independent, and she's a political star in the eyes of the country. But inside the White House, Attorney General Janet Reno is seen as a loose cannon, unpredictable and often out of sync with the president. Take the issue of gun control. This week, the president said he wanted to look into licensing gun owners and registering handguns. Sources say senior White House officials were stunned when Reno announced she's for licensing but against gun registration. What do you think about registration?
I don't like it.
Why not?
I don't think it serves a purpose.
In an administration that is struggling to speak with one voice about crime, this was the latest example of conflicting messages from the president and his attorney general. Early on, Reno questioned the president's proposal to put 100,000 more police on the streets. Senate sources say Reno had little input into the crime bill, and she's made no secret of her opposition to the death penalty, which the president supports.
People know my position on the death penalty, but the administration supports it, and we'll see what happens.
Sources say the White House is also frustrated because Reno is seen as soft on crime within the law enforcement community. Rather than talking tough, she talks tenderly about nurturing children, often sounding more like a sociologist than the Attorney General.
0 to 3 is the most formative time in a person's life. It's when the child learns the concept of reward and punishment and develops a conscience.
Once seen as an asset, political analysts now see her as a liability to the administration.
There's a sense in the White House that she's difficult to communicate with, she's independent to the point of eccentricity, and that she's following her own program and not the administration's.
Reno insists she has no conflict with the White House. That's what the White House says, too, publicly. But privately, senior officials are wringing their hands, wondering how to keep their most popular cabinet member in line. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Washington.
The federal government is trying to hold the line on illegal immigration into this country and the crime that sometimes comes with it. Officials say a new program in Texas appears to be working well. But as correspondent Vicki Mabry reports from El Paso, critics say it's working too well.
You may want to hang out by the low tracks.
Night in El Paso along a 20-mile stretch of the Mexican border. U.S. Border Patrol agents search for illegal crossings.
Yeah, let me know if you see a sign up there.
Operation Hold the Line masses 400 agents right at the border who catch about 100 illegals a day. They're held, processed, then sent back. The operation is being watched closely by California and Arizona.
For the first time, we've been able to control and manage the border the way it's supposed to be done, and I think the community is appreciative about that.
El Paso officials claim crime is down, particularly shoplifting and auto theft, which dropped 35%. Operation Hold the Line has the full support of El Paso's oldest neighborhood. Ironic, because it's a community of Mexican Americans. The Chihuahuita neighborhood was plagued by gang fights, robberies, and car thefts back when 1,000 or more illegals slipped across every day.
It was unbearable. I mean, now you can go out and have a good time and not worry that somebody's gonna come from behind you.
But opponents say the patrols keep out people like Juan, Aurora, and Isabel, who babysat American children and tended American yards, part of the 80 to 90% who enter illegally for honest work. Aurora says she has to work all week in Mexico to make what she earned in one day in El Paso.
It's hypocritical to keep out an entire population of people, most of whom are here for honest reasons and who are needed.
Opponents propose a hybrid immigration card that would allow Mexican day workers access to American jobs. In the meantime, Mexicans without proper papers will find the land of opportunity just out of their reach. Vicki Mabry, CBS News, El Paso.
Rain and windstorms battered the Pacific Northwest today. This was the scene in the city of Aberdeen, Washington. Roads completely submerged in water, boats the only way to get around. The Coast Guard had to rescue at least 4 people stranded by high water. The flooding in Washington state was caused by a combination of the heavy rain and melting snow and runoff from area mountains.
Salad Shooter helps you every day. How about some cheese for your pizza or perfect salad shooter hash browns for breakfast? Vegetables sliced or shredded, and nothing tops a salad like Salad Shooter Slicer Shredder from Presto. Helps you every day.
What makes Sunsweet Orange and Lemon Essence Pitted Prunes the perfect snack?
Ooh, these are really good. They taste just like oranges.
I like the lemon.
Doing a lot with prunes nowadays. Sunsweet came up with a real good idea.
Isn't it time you tried Sunsweet?
Would we claim the new Norelco razor shaves closer than ever without hundreds of tests to back it up? Say our new Precision Groove helps the Norelco lift and cut system shave closer without proof? No. We wouldn't say it's our closest shave ever without science, sensors, tests. But of all the tests that prove it's closer, the most convincing requires a personal touch. The new Norelco razors, our closest shave ever.
I was afraid to go to the doctor. I didn't want to hear that I might have an ulcer, but I just couldn't ignore my stomach. And you can imagine how relieved I was when my doctor said Mylanta. He told me it wasn't an ulcer. It was indigestion. And indigestion like mine needed a strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Also available in tablets and now gel caps.
Saturday on CBS, the Falcons. Trash-talking, high-stepping rabble-rousers.
Face the Niners on a 6-game winning streak. No need to talk trash.
We're big fans.
Israeli settlers were blamed today for killing 3 Arabs on the occupied West Bank. But even as the violence raged on, PLO chief Yasser Arafat and Israeli Prime Minister Rabin agreed to meet again and try to implement their peace accord on schedule next Monday. Secretary of State Warren Christopher arranged the meeting in talks with Arafat today at PLO headquarters in Tunis. It's the first time a top U.S. official has been there. Arafat said next time they'll meet on the West Bank in Jericho.
Sunday could be a turning point in the history of Russia. The first full-scale elections of the post-Soviet era. Russians will vote on a new parliament and a new constitution proposed by President Boris Yeltsin. Moscow correspondent Cindy Kennard reports.
With a final burst of activity, Russia's brief parliamentary campaign is ending where it began, on television. A last look at all 13 political blocs in the first multi-party election here since 1917.
There is a whole new generation of younger politicians who are gradually coming to the top of leadership in Russia.
And these 30 and 40-something reformers are not all in Boris Yeltsin's camp. Polls suggest the top vote-getter may be Grigory Yavlinsky, a Yeltsin critic with his eye on the presidency.
How to make Russia able to move? That is the question, to move.
Russia's choice, the party led by Yeltsin's young cabinet ministers, should do well. But in the country's heartland, those most hurt by economic reform are supporting the Communist Party and the party representing Russia's farmers.
I can sense tremendous frustration of the people. And when you talk to the voters, very few of them think that they can change anything.
The discontent is also boosting candidates like Vladimir Zhirinovsky, a neo-fascist demagogue who shouts people down at news conferences. The new parliament may be more than Yeltsin bargained for.
It will not be as compliant as Yeltsin would like it to be. It will be still a parliament in the opposition.
Russia's new parliament will have 2 chambers, an upper house with 2 deputies from each region like the U.S. Senate, and a lower house, half the deputies elected by district, the other half chosen nationwide. Yeltsin's constitution is also on the ballot. If you don't approve it, he told primetime viewers last night, the instability could lead to civil war. Yeltsin is expected to get the 50% voter turnout needed to ratify his constitution. It's the one part of this election day the president can't afford to lose. Cindy Kennard, CBS News, Moscow.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, one little girl's death and a nation's despair over crime.
My child, my jewel, my star.
When I was a kid, Mom was always after me to eat right.
And that's what mothers do.
Now I'm looking out for her with Ensure. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between.
You know, dear, Ensure is even recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
Ensure. To your health, Mom.
Our health, dear.
How do you give low-saturated fat oils like canola a different taste? Add corn oil.
Only Mazola Right Blend blends the leading corn oil with canola oil, so there's 1 gram of saturated fat per serving.
It's a low-saturated fat oil that tastes great.
For sautéing, tossing, or baking, use Mazola Right Blend and blend good taste into your healthy cooking. From Mazola.
The new Accord EX Coupe. There's more horsepower. Handling and comfort are perfectly balanced. It has dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. We've taken it about as far as you can go.
The new Accord EX Coupe from Honda.
I need a cold medicine that won't slow me down. My husband's a doctor and recommends Dimetap Extend-Tabs.
Dimetap has one of the least sedating non-prescription antihistamines.
Dimetap stops my cold symptoms without stopping me.
Doctors recommend Dimetap for their families and yours.
I try to ignore my sensitive teeth, but they hurt.
Don't ignore your sensitive teeth. Sensodyne helps stop the pain that can make you stop brushing. Could lead even to tooth loss.
Thanks, Sensodyne.
Trust Sensodyne, the dentist's choice for sensitive teeth.
The story of a child killer loose in St. Louis reminds us that while this is supposed to be a season of joy this week, the joy has been interrupted by madness. Over and over, the ringing of holiday bells has been drowned out by the tolling of church bells. And at a time when many Americans are celebrating the birth of a child, John Blackstone reports on a California town that is mourning the death.
Someone's thinking of you and loving you tonight.
The crime statistics alone are painful enough these days, but something about Paulie Class and the town of Petaluma has made this kidnap and murder more than a statistic.
Sometimes a single event is so shocking and so unsettling that it makes the entire nation tremble.
In the past 2 months, the search for one 12-year-old girl in one small town has come to represent a whole nation's fears about random crime.
It was just bodies all over. Guys were shot in the head.
It began to seem this week there is no safe place anymore. Commuters heading to the Long Island suburbs on the 533 met a gunman filled with hate. In a California suburb, hundreds gathered to bury a policeman, the fourth victim of one more madman on a shooting rampage.
There's terrorism here in America. We live in fear, and it's not Beirut, and it's not Mogadishu.
The body of a 10-year-old girl from the suburbs of St. Louis was found yesterday. Police say Cassidy Center could be the second victim of a serial child killer.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
In the crowded church in Petaluma last night, they were praying not just for Paulie Class, they were praying for a nation.
Was when you took my own sweet child, my jewel, my star.
John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
And that's our news. Coming up this weekend on CBS, Charles Kuralt with Sunday Morning, followed by Face the Nation with Bob Schieffer and 60 Minutes on Sunday night.
Connie and I will see you again Monday. Thanks for choosing CBS News. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night.
Experience CBS News.
See these accidents? They're not accidents at all. They're staged insurance scams, and they're happening all over.
It makes me very angry because it could have cost me my life.
Could you and your car be the next target in this deadly game? Eye on America investigates Monday on the CBS Evening News. This is CBS.